everyone. Welcome to our webinar this afternoon. Happy to have you here. Today's webinar, we are going to focus on the Wave 1, so our spring release wave for Power Platform. Last time we were together, if you happened to join in, we're talking about everything Dynamics 365 app. So now we're looking at more of the tool set that we use as administrators for Power Platform. Before we dive into things, just want to introduce ourselves here at Boyer. We are Microsoft partners, and we are passionate about all things ERP, CRM, and Power Platform. If it's Microsoft, we are here to help you with that. And we also have some accolades that we've collected over our 30 years in business here, and we're very proud of the work that we do and the clients that we work with and support. So thanks everybody for joining. That's a little bit about who we are as an organization. What I have for our agenda today, it is going to be jam-packed as always. There's so much good functionality that comes out in these release waves that I want to touch on. So we'll start off with the sad, dearly departed deprecations that we have in Power Platform. Then we're going to focus in on some of the main Power Platform tools. So we'll look at Power Apps, Power Pages, Power Automate has the most slides, lots of good stuff here, Copilot Studio, and also Dataverse, which is just that underlying database of the Power Platform. Some new enhancements there as well. Again, there is so much for us to cover. I'm really focusing in this this presentation, things that are available now, either in public preview or things that will be coming soon within May and June. So those are the things we were kind of focusing on here. One thing that I do want to stress to you though, because there is so much out there, I highly recommend if you're not using it, the releaseplans.microsoft.com website. What that's going to do is it's going to break everything down for you. If you use that left navigation over there, you see there's the stuff from Dynamics 365. If you weren't able to join last week, you can still figure out everything that's going on there. And then we have Power Platform. So again, breaking it down by tool, seeing the things that are coming. It also highlights for us things that are available now, what's planned to still come in the release wave, and things that we can try now. There's awesome filters. You can even filter down the release notes by month for when things are being added into or expected to be released into production and being generally available. And then you can also save some of these things to your own release plan. So again, the things that you're like, ooh, I really care about this, you can sort of pin it and save it and then check in on it. You know, what are the updates? Is it available yet? So if you're not using that website, highly recommend bookmarking it. I find it to be a tremendous resource. All right, let's go ahead and start with, again, the dearly departed, our deprecations that we have. Couple of things for Power Platform going away. SQL Server Connector version 1 is retiring at the end of June. So it's no longer supported and will be disabled. Now, version 2 actions are already available. So all version 2 operations, these are some extra parameters. So we have a server name, a database name. So this way it's going to support Microsoft Entra ID authentications. If you want to find out more about that, I do have the link in the slide here. Speaking of, my host here is also going to be dropping this presentation into the chat for you all, so you can have access to these links. So again, if there's something that I talk about or you're like, ooh, I want to dig into this a little bit more, love to give you resources so you can get right to that Microsoft documentation and start tackling some of these new features that are coming. One thing to know, rich text editor. So when you have a form and that rich text editor in it, that's gotten an update. That was actually deprecated back in April 18th. So last month, good news, we didn't need to do anything. In fact, you may not have even noticed the rich text editor has already just automatically been updated for us. I like things that I don't have to do anything with, just awareness. Also, cards for Power Apps are going away at the end of August this year. They're no longer going to be supported, but we do have some alternatives there. So if you are using cards for Power Apps, you have two options. You can either use adaptive cards in Copilot Studio, or adaptive cards for Microsoft Teams for similar functionality. It's just being replaced by these pieces here. So again, links to that documentation if you want to transition over. Some more deprecations for Power Platform at the end of May. So in a few days here, the Snowflake connector that allows you to build Canvas apps and surface Snowflake's data in virtual tables, that will be going away. There's a new improved version that's available. So you want to replace any of your existing connections from the deprecated connector, move that over to the new connector. You still got a couple days to do this. Also have some links there for, again, that new connector version 2, what's in it, how you can manage those connections. And then again, there was a little guide for how you can add and manage and transition over. We also are getting a deprecation of the Bring Your Own Key Dataverse service. That will be ending in January of 2026. So we still have a few months here to migrate over here. Customers are encouraged to transition sooner rather than later because what's going to happen on June 1st, so just in a few weeks here, customers won't be able to apply a BYOK into their production environments. Again, we have some documentation here from Microsoft on migrating over to CMK or customer managed keys as soon as possible. Again, so I'd start working on that. And again, there's a nice handy migration guide, that second link that you see down there. It'll sort of walk you through how to deal with that. All right, for Canvas apps, we have a couple of endpoints that are being deprecated and no longer supported, but we have some new endpoints that, again, will replace these. So we're losing some things, but mostly it's just about getting us new, better, and improved versions of things. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into what's new and exciting for Release Wave 1 when it comes to Power Apps. So also on my slides, I like to show as of today or this week, these are the dates that we have from Microsoft. Again, the reason I like that release planner website so much is if these dates shift or change, they do make updates on that website too. So what we have coming in public preview in June will be the ability for folks who are using Canvas apps on a mobile device. They're going to have a new setting. So they'll basically have a device status page, and then they can choose whether they want the data when they're offline, if they want it to sync when they're on a cellular network and Wi-Fi, or if they only want it to sync when they're connected to a Wi-Fi network. So that's something that we see coming as a preview in June and will be generally available in September. One other thing with Power Platform, guest access credentials with SQL Server. This is something that should be generally available still this month. No green check, but we've still got a few days in the month here to wrap up. Today, what happens when you have a guest user and you want them to be able to access Power Apps? If the app, though, was connected to a SQL server, they wouldn't be able to access data because their credentials were not going to be passed through to that SQL server. So in May, what's going to be happening with general availability, those guest credentials are now passed through to SQL Server, so we can enable SQL to manage access based on those credentials. So that's a nice enhancement, again, that we should be seeing this month. Oop, I think nope. Thought I went ahead by 2 slides. There we go. This one is also pretty exciting. It's a way to have a Copilot when you're working with views. So I can use natural language. So I'm on a view. I had quick find search. Instead, I can now use natural language to kind of filter my view and search for specific records. This is a functionality that is in public preview now. If you want to turn it on now, you can. It will be generally available in June. So if you're like, that's kind of interesting, I'd like to maybe turn that on, maybe a sandbox environment. What you can do is you can go into the Power Platform Admin Center, and then if you go into Settings and Features, one of the features is called Natural Language Grid View Search. And the default is going to be only enable this as the feature becomes available. So basically, in June, turn this on for me once it becomes available. If you'd like to test it out now, though, you could change that setting to all users immediately. That's how I got this lovely screenshot here. The nice thing about natural language is it does filter and it'll show you its filtering options. So if I wanted to use the X up there to get rid of, like, I want to see all contacts at the company with that contains the word corporation in it. But it also put in there that just contacts that are assigned to me. If I wanted to get rid of that, I can still get rid of that little filtering option in natural language, again, to help me sort of work with my data within a view. I think it's kind of cool functionality that we have. If you're like, my users, they're not ready for this, they're going to be scared. You can also change this setting to no one. We are not ready for this yet. So you do have some options here, but I think this is some cool functionality. I've been using it in some of my sample environments, and I'm really enjoying this functionality. All right. You can also work with existing tables when visualizing complex data. So if you've ever tried creating new tables, only discover that, oh, this is maybe a duplicate of an existing one in my environment, we now have a smarter way of designing our data models using a Copilot assisted ERD designer. So now, instead of starting from scratch, I can leverage my existing tables to build more robust data models. So I would simply type out the requirements in natural language, as you can see in my little Copilot there. And then Copilot will craft a multi-table data model, and it's going to incorporate both new tables that it thinks I'm going to need, and then show me existing tables that I already have that might meet those needs. So if I need to find those relevant tables quickly, Copilot's going to make those recommendations for me. It's going to locate the right table in seconds. Once I've assembled my tables, I can switch to an ERD view. And then there I can review and create new and see those new and existing tables side by side. Now, one thing to know about this, when you're editing existing tables in the ERD view, that is not supported yet. So you won't be able to edit existing tables, but again, you can create those new tables there, again, using a simple drag and drop and using Copilot to help you out. Kind of some cool functionality. One thing to know about columns for those tables, right now there's no support for creating rich text or customer columns or auto numbers or formula data types. I can still create those manually. It's just Copilot isn't going to make those for me. And right now, with the relationships between the tables, right now it's only suggesting one-to-many relationships. So again, I can still make many-to-many relationships. I might have to do that manually. That's probably functionality that we'll see, but that's just some of the limitations when you're working in that data workspace for right now. Again, this is something that is in public preview now, but should become generally available next month in June. Copilot can also help us plan out solutions to business problems. There is this new functionality here called Plan Designer. So if we're creating new solutions to address some of our business needs, it's more than just building an app, right? There's a lot that goes into that. So now we can use Copilot to help us with that. So regardless of the technology we're using, if I need to solve a business problem, I can use this Plan Designer in order to do that. The first step in building a solution is always going to be getting that architecture to support various user roles, their requirements, and Copilot can now help us detail those different scenarios out, getting those requirement definitions, user roles, user requirements, data schemas to support our data and support data, and creating overall solution architecture through proposed objects. So the Plan Designer is kind of a Copilot first development tool that helps us create a comprehensive business solution quickly. So what it's going to do is it will help us with scenario and requirement definition. We can give a description of our business problem, provide some additional context like process diagrams or data models we already have. I can even have screenshots of legacy apps that we're using, and Copilot is going to use all of that data to give us kind of a draft of user roles and requirements for the solution that we're looking for. Data modeling, once we have all of those requirements, now Power Apps, the Plan Designer, is going to propose a data model to support that solution and allow us as a maker to kind of explore and make updates through that visual entity relationship diagram. And then also, whoops, I did not mean to skip to the next slide. Sorry about that. And then the final piece is around solution architecture. So Copilot is going to recommend the types of apps, the types of automation that fit these requirements. In the initial release of this functionality of Plan Designer, the recommendations are going to include Canvas and model-driven apps we might need, as well as flows that we might need to, cloud flows that we might need to create in Power Automate. So really kind of a really slick tool. I'm excited to see this coming. Again, we should have general availability for the Plan Designer this month, very soon. Link at the bottom of the slide to learn more about this cool functionality. A little bit more about the Plan Designer. We're going to talk more about Copilot Studio in a little bit and some of the enhancements there. But one thing the Plan Designer can do is it can also suggest if we need a Copilot Studio agent, if we need an agent with our business solution that our Plan Designer is helping us come up with. So again, what a Copilot Studio agent is it can significantly help our users with business operations, helping us streamline workflows and boosting productivity. Microsoft has said 2025 is going to be the year of agentic AI. So having these agents who are going to support us. So the Plan Designer is also going to be able to suggest agents that we might need for these business solutions that we are creating. So again, it's going to, with these agents, allow employees to focus on more strategic activities and cutting down on some of the monotony of some of our day-to-day processes. So if the Plan Designer suggests a Copilot Studio agent, then we can open that up in Copilot Studio and again, start making edits and changes to what Plan Designer has sort of suggested for us as an agent. So I'll be redirected to Copilot Studio to review and then make any changes to that agent before I would publish it. What it's going to create for us in Plan Designer. It'll give me the name of an agent. It'll give me a detailed explanation of what the agent's purpose is going to be, some instructions for the agent to follow, and then a list of data sources the agent might need to use in order to complete tasks, including data tables created by the plan. Of course, as always with AI, I would definitely want to review my agent, especially the instructions, make any desired changes again in Copilot Studio, and then test that agent out before we go ahead and publish it. But really cool functionality. Again, that Plan Designer will also help us suggest some agents we might need to use for our business solutions. We can also use agents to direct users to high-value tasks. So again, this is another piece of what agents are meant to do. They're meant to be kind of a digital coworker, my helper, who can help me with some of the mundane tasks. So it can do some cognitive processes like routing orchestration or decision making. Again, kind of trying to remove that manual effort from our business processes so that users can focus on the next high value tasks or the next best thing to do. So again, these agents that we're going to be able to build will help users focus their time and energy on the biggest impact things for our desired business outcome. Again, trying to get rid of some of that drudgery and digging through their data. So again, makers can configure in-app agents with types of actions possible for different tables, and then the agent processes the rows assigned to a specific user to understand the most valuable next action and then recommend that. So really cool. Again, 2025, Microsoft is calling it the year of agents. So one other thing that we can do in Power Apps is use Copilot to help us give a description of our model-driven app. So when you build a model-driven app, I give it a name and then I have a spot where I can put in a description for my app. And if you're not a great administrator like me, sometimes we struggle with documentation. So here I can use Copilot to help me out there, generate a description for this app. Now, what this description does when someone is in a model-driven app and the app name is up at the top in the toolbar, the user hovers their mouse over it, they would see that description. So again, just a Copilot AI generated description for our model-driven app, what it does, and I don't have to necessarily think about that myself. We can also manage source code for Canvas apps now. This is something that is in public preview right now and will be generally available next month. So with Canvas apps, what this means is I'll now be able to export a Canvas app as a binary file with the extension .ms app, and you can use the Power Platform CLI to convert the MS app file into source code files. Now with this feature, I no longer need to use that Power Platform CLI to convert the .ms app files. I can view the source code for the Canvas app in an updated, human-readable YAML format, and each screen of my Canvas app will be a separate file. So now I can view the source code for my Canvas app directly in Power Apps Studio or use external code editors to work with it. So again, with this new capability, we can store the files in a code repository, automate generation of my Canvas app, improve the generative app Canvas app module, refactor my Canvas app without needing to use the designer, and again, natively integrate with Git for Power Platform. All right, that was everything for Power Apps. Now let's take a look at what's coming for Power Pages. I like this one. I like anything where AI can help me be a better administrator. So again, we are getting some AI help here, some intelligent recommendations for our Power Page usage for licenses and capacity. So when I go into my Power Platform Admin Center and I go to Power Pages, I'll see this section for intelligent recommendations. So it'll tell me, how's my capacity? Or should I be getting some more licenses for things? So again, this feature is going to analyze license consumption across my Power Pages environments. It's going to flag my environments that are maybe nearing or exceeding capacity and suggest some things I can do to correct those things. And again, getting those recommendations to manage my capacity efficiently. Again, this is something that we will see this month coming soon. I love this feature too. So with our Power Pages sites, I can now schedule a security scan to make sure that my Power Page site is secure from threats. The scan is static and dynamic. It's going to be a security scan that'll find weaknesses, possible threats to my site stability. I can run this scan to the security level of the site, and then I receive this reports with the results of what it was checking and then review suggestions for what to do. So if you look at my screenshot here, I have a few failed actions. It's kind of hard to see. It's blurry in my screenshot there, but you can basically expand open where it's found some issues and again, give me those recommendations. Also showing me things that have passed where I'm doing well with my security on my Power Page. So again, love this functionality. I can also download the output here as a PDF if I want to. We can also get answers on our Power Page using Copilot. So I can configure a chatbot to let users of my site use natural language to get information. So I can configure roles and permissions for, again, securing my data and which tables I allow people to be able to search, what they have access to. So I'm still creating roles and permissions for my users who are using my Power Pages site. So for example, I might have a Power Page that is dedicated to customer service. And when my customers go to my site, they can now use natural language, talking with Copilot here, ask for the status of their open case, and the chatbot can again provide the status of that case and the link to that open case for more details. All right, that was a pretty short one for Power Pages. Power Automate, strap in. There's a lot of cool stuff here with Power Automate, so let's dive into it. One of the first things that I'm excited about is the ability to generate a process map for multi-flow automations. If you have lots of Power Automate flows that maybe have child flows or sub flows with them, right now when I go to manage those, I kind of have to flip between the different flows, look at the runs, but I don't really get an overall picture of all of my flows working together until now or until June. We will see this functionality in June. So you can view and manage all of your flow dependencies involved in a multi-flow process. So again, we're talking parent-child flows, desktop flows, work queues. They're all going to be visualized through this process map experience that you're seeing on my screenshot here. So what it's really meant to do is give me that end-to-end observability through kind of a process-centric view. You know, look at it, the whole picture from the process perspective instead of trying to pick through the individual flows. So again, I can easily perform an impact analysis of maybe failing subflows, and then again, easily navigate between the flow runs and credentials and connections for all of those processes or all of those flows that are together in this multi-flow automation that we have here. So again, the process map is hopefully going to make troubleshooting and monitoring Power Automates more efficient and transparent. So it shows us kind of the main orchestrating flow, all of the child flows invoked during that process run. And when the process map is created, it's going to, again, consider things like structural details, like conditions. So it can show flows that are part of the process, but maybe didn't run because of certain conditions, either logic or errors. So again, this is going to help us understand how a problem in one part of my process might be affecting other parts of the process. So again, I can take some countermeasures here to fix those issues. When I look at my process map, if I click into one of those little flow boxes on the map, it's going to open a side panel like you see in my screenshot here. So again, just giving me kind of the details and contextual information on the run, the connection, and again, this panel is going to let me sort of efficiently scan through that entire run history for the larger process that we're working with. So exciting stuff here. I love this one. If you have ever written a flow and then for some reason you're getting a message that something failed, a service droppage or something along those lines, and you're like, no, if I refresh my page, my whole work is gone. That's not going to happen anymore. Yay, I'm excited about that. So we will see a banner up at the top that if I get an error, will basically save a copy of my flow as like a draft as part of the web page. So again, when I come back and refresh my page, those things that I was working on are saved and loaded, those previous things that I was working on. So I'm excited for this functionality. This is generally available now. I also like this functionality. I think it makes writing a flow easier, and this is available now too. When you're writing out your flow and you click that little plus sign to put all of your flow pieces together, you're going to be presented with this screen instead. And so it's broken down into 4 pieces. So I have this favorite section now. So if there's a certain action or a connector that I use a lot, I can put a little star on it. So if you hover your mouse over it, you'll see there's a spot to put a star rating on it. And if I say that's a favorite, now it's going to be at the top. So I can quickly access it. You know, you find your favorites and you use them a lot. So it's nice to have those right there at my fingertips. In the section on AI capabilities, it's going to, again, surface all of those AI capabilities together with built-in tools. These are kind of my building blocks of my flow. So again, you'll see those in the built-in tools, and then there's also that section for connectors. So it's actually going to show you the top 20 connections that you use will be at the top of the list. So again, it's just about surfacing things we use frequently to access them quickly as I'm a flow designer. One other cool thing we have, again, available now, you can use Copilot to help you analyze your automations. How How are they working? I can use natural language again to translate that natural language into prompts into Dataverse Fetch XML queries. So this means administrators, center of excellence teams, business users, anybody makers, anybody who has access to that flows run history can now query those past runs again using natural language. And again, ask, how many flows ran yesterday on which machines or groups, and what did the success rate look like? So again, it's easy for me to start getting some insights into how my automations are performing. So, I can start using some example prompts like, which flows ran the most last week, show me the most frequent run errors during the last month, show me, which bots had the most failures, show me when and by whom the desktop flows were modified last week. All sorts of, again, anything you can think of, natural language, again, we can use to sort of analyze the flow history that we have. This one is very exciting to me. I am very much an administrator and not a developer, but for Power Automate Desktop, we now have the ability to use natural language to help us write scripts. We can use Copilot to help us generate scripts. Scripts for PowerShell, VB script, DOS commands, Python, and JavaScript. So again, I can say I need some help here with my Power Automate desktop. So I'm going to ask to have Copilot help me. I click Generate Script with Copilot, and then I put in my prompt. What is the script that I need to do? So here I'm saying create a script that will perform a post call to www.contoso.com and pass the error details variable. And then it gives me that code. So again, I can use that script as part of my Power Automate desktop. We can also get generative answers. So when you are working in Power Automate, we can have conversations with Copilot and easily find information that I need either to create or manage my flows, or basically any aspect of Power Automate for desktop. I can now have these natural language conversations with Copilot, and again, into the Power Automate for desktop UI. So there's a box right in the middle of the screen that I can use to have this conversation with Copilot. We can use that pane on the side as well. We can also streamline workflow creation with next best action. So again, this is going to be a way for a way to streamline basically my automation process, making it easier for me to create and automate workflows without necessarily having extensive knowledge of how workflows work all the time. So with this new addition, you'll be able to create a more complex workflow. The feature will suggest the next action that it thinks makes sense based on the context of your current workflow and the actions that have already been added to that desktop workflow. You can also, just like we could generate model-driven app descriptions, we can also use Copilot to help us generate a description for our flow. Again, I think sometimes we're really good about getting the process down. Ooh, the documentation part and explaining what we built is hard sometimes. And now I can just use AI to help me here. So again, I can create a flow description with the press of a button without having to open that flow and read the actions inside of it. Copilot can give me an assist here. All right. We now have shadow DOM elements in modern web applications. So what this means is you can automate workflows in modern web apps. Those would be things built with Angular, React, and Lit. This is going to ensure seamless interaction with those kind of encapsulated components, making your automation scripts reliable without maybe some complex workarounds we had to do in the past. So with Shadow DOM support in Power Automate for desktop, again, this is going to give us some functionality around enhanced element detection, so we can accurately locate and interact with elements within our shadow roots, and using advanced selectors. With dynamic shadow DOM handling, we can automate dynamic or runtime generated shadow DOM components without interruptions. With nested shadow DOM support, that means we can traverse and interact with deeply nested shadow trees, and we can cross-domain iframe compatibility. We can handle shadow DOM elements embedded in cross-origin iframes for, again, seamless automation. We can also record and play back updates, and again, capture those interactions inside those shadow DOMs, and again, replay them accurately. All right. Using machine credential mappings in desktop flow connections. So for a lot of organizations, when they're using a desktop flow, each machine has to have its own unique user session. So that implies that I couldn't use machine groups before. What we can do now with this functionality, again, that we'll be seeing here in June, is I can create a list of credentials and allow them to use unique credentials for each of the machines in my desktop flow connections. So again, for organizations that I want to use automations executed on agent machines, again, this is a way for me to, again, get some credentials there, list the credentials, again, which will allow an attended automation to the machine for the right agent. Desktop flows, we can now start organizing with tags. Again, this is something that's in public preview right now. This is helpful. Tags are always helpful in just helping me organize my desktop flows. So we can see with this feature, I can add some tags here. There are some things to know. I need to be on the latest version 2.5.5 or later for Power Automate Desktop, and I need a Dataverse solution of 1.9.1.1 or later. And again, I need an environment with Power Automate version 2 schema enabled. Now, there are some limitations with tags right now. I can't rename a tag. So if I made an oops, delete it, make a new one. And tags right now aren't visible in the Power Automate portal. But again, this is just a way to help us categorize some of these desktop flows that we are creating. One thing to know about these tags, they are going to be centrally managed in Dataverse environments. So it's not limited to just desktop flows. That means other Power Platform assets we can start using this tag functionality for in the future, which is also pretty cool. Hey, do you want to save your eyeballs when you're working in Power Automate Desktop? You can now select dark mode. You can go into the console settings and you can switch it to dark mode. Kind of some much needed update there. You can also describe desktop flow actions with Copilot. Again, when I'm looking at a desktop flow, I can generate summaries either for individual actions, or I can ask it to summarize a specific line. So again, that Power Automate for Desktop, using this Copilot experience here, is going to give me detailed explanations of what my automation flow and subflows are doing. Users then can easily navigate that Copilot side panel, select the right skill from the skill picker, and then again, start asking questions in natural language like, what is the subflow doing? Or what's happening in lines 3 through 12? Again, it's going to give that clear insight into the automation process, hopefully helping us streamline when we have to troubleshoot or maintain complex automations. I also like this one. Anytime I don't have to type, you can now use your voice to interact with Copilot when we're working in Power Automate. So now there's a little microphone icon, and you can click that and just start speaking what it is you want your automation to do. When you are done, there'll be the microphone will change into a stop button. So then hit the stop button, stops recording your voice, and then your prompt is automatically submitted to Copilot. And again, this is hopefully going to help on manual input typing, saving some time and effort as we're working on our automations in Power Automate. In Power Automate, we also have this functionality around process mining. So Power Automate process mining, I think this is kind of an underutilized feature because it does require some technical know-how and product knowledge in order to get some actionable insights out of your process mining. It would require you to create filters and custom metrics and categorization variables to get kind of that view of the process. So you can use Copilot to get to iterative actions in process mining, process insights, and an introduction to process mining. Help me, Copilot. I've never done this before. So again, we can lean on our our technology-based coworker, our AI coworker, to kind of help us use this functionality, use the process mining functionality that we have, and give us back some analytics that are hopefully helpful to, again, help us parse out how that process is performing, where we have chances for improvement, things we can look at and visualize, again, summarizing those findings from the data in both qualitative and quantitative ways. So again, these prompts will help us get up and running quickly on Copilot process mining. Power Automate Process Mining can now also ingest data from Azure Data Lake Gen 2 in CSV and Parquet formats and Delta Parquet formats. So again, we can ingest that data from Fabric One Lake while we are working here with our Power Automate Process Mining functionality. We can also now, it's in public preview as of April, end of April, export process intelligence semantic model to our Fabric workspace. So process insights from Power Automate process mining can now be consumed in Power BI reports created in Fabric workspace. Again, we're leveraging the Direct Lake semantic model on top of our Fabric Lakehouse. And then again, this Direct Lake semantic model in Fabric Workspace is going to give me a leaner and better way to build custom reports in Power BI based on, again, process intelligence insights that we're getting. The semantic model is similar and more versatile than the semantic model created when using Power BI Workspace. So the Direct Lake mode also lowers the SKU size requirements for large process models when compared to the semantic model we have in Power BI Workspace. So we can, again, use composite models will allow me to enhance the semantic model with custom DAX queries or additional external data sources. Again, all around that process mining functionality. All right, we can also analyze our process mining directly within the web client. So what it currently does, well, what it did before we got the public preview was it would generate it in sort of a Power BI report. Now we can sort of analyze our process mining results more quickly right here from within the web client. So what it's going to do is, again, in Power Automate process mining, it cuts down on that wait time, waiting for that Power BI report to be generated. So again, I can see kind of the overall process map component. It's going to give me some KPIs to display and drill into. It's still going to generate that Power BI report for me, but I don't have to wait for it. So I can still, if that's the way you like to work with the process miner, that's not going away. It's just there's also this web interface for it too, and I can start working with and looking at the data right away. All right, let's talk about Copilot Studio, some functionality that we see here. Again, Copilot Studio with Azure OpenAI on our data. What that means is our agents and our bots can now leverage resources from Azure, again, through the generative answers node. So having those natural language conversations. Azure OpenAI on our data is going to work, again, with those language models in OpenAI and Azure Cognitive Search to index our data and, again, be able to leverage that data in responses, again, while complying with our organizational policies around data loss protection. So again, it's going to help me generate answers without me needing to manually author different topics. Copilot is going to help me start generating some of those topics right away. Again, we can use Azure AI Search Index as a knowledge source. Again, this should be coming this month, so I can build my own copilots that, again, can use this pre-built Azure AI Search Indexes as a knowledge base for, again, some of my copilot agents that I'll be creating. So we can use these pre-built indexes that were built by pro developers, again, so it's easy for me to hit the ground running and, again, start utilizing this in Copilot Studio. So that's going to, again, allow users to ask questions in natural language. And again, we can leverage our enterprise systems being used within our Power Platform tenant to, again, answer those questions. We can also enable the agents that we create with real-time knowledge sources. So I can now add structured and unstructured data from Microsoft and other non-Microsoft systems, again, as grounding data for these custom copilots that I might be building using Copilot Studio. So this is going to allow my Copilot users to ask questions in natural language about the data in our enterprise systems, things that are in SharePoint lists, things that are in OneDrive for Business. We can also, again, connect to other non-Microsoft services. So Confluence, Databricks, Salesforce, ServiceNow, Snowflake, Zendesk, Jira, and GitHub Cloud. Just a few. I think there are some even more out there. Again, double check that link at the bottom for all of the different connectors that we now have that we can use as knowledge sources for these agents that we'll be creating. In fact, they're also giving us some template of pre-built agents that we can use to help us with our Copilot creation. So there's a bunch of agents here, and I just kind of want to highlight them and what they do. The citizen service agent, I kind of think of these as like templates, basically, kind of like, again, a starting point to start building an agent quickly. Did not mean to hit my keyboard and advance the slide there again. So let's talk about some of these. Citizen services, this is a good agent to start for any public sector organizations. So I can quickly build an agent on any of my publicly available data. We can use that with our agent. EU CBAM estimator, I'm going to go out on a limb and say nobody here is really going to need this. What is this one? This is carbon broader adjustment mechanism, and it's specifically for carbon emissions in the EU. So unless you are supplying in the EU, you might not really have a need for that template. The financial insights is also an agent template that helps for anybody who works in financial services. This agent can enable quick and efficient access to information from, again, your organization's financial documents and other available financial resources like news and regulatory financial reports websites. IT Help Desk is an agent that uses your organization's knowledge to enhance, again, operational efficiency, improve employee satisfaction, and optimize resources, again, in help desk scenarios. Safe Travels agent is really all about when you have company travel that you're going to be doing on behalf of your company. This agent can help ensure your employees are prepared and informed for their next work trip. Voice is an agent template where we want to be able to build voice-enabled natural language copilots. Weather is all about people asking questions about the weather, and a website Q&A. This was an agent that's going to help us answer common questions from customers, again, by using the content that's available on your website and searches across your website, and again is going to use generative AI to formulate contextual answers for your customers. Benefits, this template is going to be an agent that will help you assist employees to better understand the company provided benefits that you have. So kind of a fun way if you're kind of wanting to dip your toe into Copilot creation, but it seems overwhelming and scary. It's not. They make it pretty easy, especially now that we have these templates. So again, would highly recommend checking out that link, learning a little bit more about making some Copilot agents. You can extend Microsoft 365 Copilot with custom agents, and it's as easy as turning on the Microsoft 365 Copilot channel and then submitting those agents either to Teams or to Microsoft 365. You can either do it as an admin and publish it to everyone or a line of business, or you could also just publish it for yourself or a small team of users through a security group. You can also publish connector actions to multiple Copilot deployments. So sometimes when I build an agent, some of the actions or things that it's doing, I need to do in another agent. So I'll need to use an action in multiple Copilot deployments that I have. Today, I would need to, well, actually, prior to April, I would need to redo that over and over again. But now I have the ability when I go to publish, I can pick which endpoints I want that published to as well. So basically, I can update all of my Copilot deployments. So again, maybe I had a publish connector from Copilot Sales, and I want to now publish it to Copilot for customer service. So again, I'll be able to reuse some of that important functionality without having to reconfigure that same action multiple times in those different Copilot deployments that I have. We can also see how our agents are performing. So again, we can get some visibility into how is this Copilot or this agent being utilized at my organization. So here again, I can leverage analytics to drive into what's happening with this agent. It's going to give me some visibility to understand usage of my agent, identify areas for improvement, and optimize performance. So it's giving me a breakdown through outcomes and engagement is going to, again, help me know the end result of that conversation with that agent. So identify maybe where my agent was succeeding or where it maybe needs some improvement. It did not succeed. We can also see a knowledge source use. So seeing how often the knowledge sources I've added to my agent are being leveraged. If my agent is able to provide answers to those questions, maybe I need some different knowledge sources added in. You can see the action use. So learning how often actions are used and how often they succeed, again, can help me understand how effective my agent is being. And then the satisfaction metrics is user feedback about interacting with my agent. How happy are people with my agent, or it's not very helpful. So again, all around, once I have my agent and I publish it, how's it doing? Does it need some improvement? Does it need some help? I can also now create agents using natural language. It feels kind of like Inception. Wait, I'm making a natural language agent using natural language. Yes, we're here, folks. It's already here. It will be here again at the end of the month, generally available. But making a new agent is now as simple as using natural language. So again, I can describe what I want my agent to do, and then Copilot and I are going to work together using natural language again to build this new agent together. It's going to save me time and effort. It's going to give me an agent name, a description, and it'll also give me the instructions that my agent is going to use for how it should behave, and also give me a list of starter prompts. So again, it is just a way for me to start building out those agents just using natural language. One thing that we can do as an organization is, what if we don't like these agents that somebody has made? I can quarantine them with a PowerShell quarantine and block potentially unsecured agents. So this can, again, I have knowledge sources about information tied to this agent, but I don't necessarily think it's a great idea. It's violating my data loss prevention policies. In that case, I can quarantine that agent. What that means is, as an administrator, if I'm a tenant administrator, a Power Platform administrator, a D365 service admin, we would all have the ability to quarantine with this PowerShell by blocking or unblocking an agent. The person who made the agent is going to see a note that their agent is blocked, and they'll see that status in Copilot Studio on their agent. The maker of the agent can edit it, but they wouldn't be able to test it until we've unblocked it. And users can't interact with a blocked agent. So it's just a way for us to say, I don't think we want this agent. It's a way for us to quickly pull that back and rein that in. All right. Our last section, we just have a few slides here to talk about Dataverse to finish us off. We now have source code integration systems. So what that means is, as a team of developers or citizen developers who are all working on a big project together, we can have individual development environments, and we can build our solutions, and we can put them into a repository for our code repository basically, and then use that all for our application lifecycle management and push them out to the appropriate environments using our pipeline. So again, we now have this source code repository. This is how enterprise software development and change management works. So it's again giving us access to allow us to audit those changes and review those changes and roll back those changes if mistakes were made. Again, this is great functionality to have here, again, with Dataverse. I love this one because back in my day, when you would export a solution, you would get the dreaded, there are dependencies missing. Oh no, dependencies, worst ever. But I didn't always necessarily know what the dependencies were. I had to stop in the middle, try and figure it out. We now have an enhanced experience for us as administrators with Dataverse. It will show me which Dataverse or which dependencies are missing. If it's missing because an app is missing, if it's missing because our app isn't up to date, if we're missing a managed solution or unmanaged components. So it's really doing a nice job of explaining more about what those missing dependencies are, so it's easier to correct and move forward. Again, this is generally available now, and chef's kiss. I love this functionality. You also have the ability now in Dataverse coming this month still to update load to existing table option within standard data flows in Power Platform. So again, it's going to provide kind of a general UI update and functionality to recommend what existing Dataverse tables new data should be mapped to. Again, it's going to assist us with a mapping feature within our standard data flows to use AI to provide recommendations on, hey, this data looks like it would fit in this existing Dataverse table, where you should ingest your data into. And once that table is selected, the feature will also provide the column mapping suggestions, again, based on the semantic meaning of the column names, the column data types. And again, it will hopefully help improve that data quality by alerting us as users if there's any column type mismatches prior to publishing our data flow. So some nice enhancements here too. I can control which apps are allowed in an environment. So if I go into the Power Platform Admin Center under Security, I can again control which apps are able to be used within an environment. So again, I can protect against data leaving or managing my data and controlling what apps are actually allowed to run in this Dataverse environment. Again, just providing some safeguards to help prevent sensitive information or being unauthorized removal of that information or extraction from that environment. So again, as an organization, it allows us to maintain that continuity and comply with any regulatory requirements that we have. You can also add Dataverse tables as knowledge for model-driven apps and agents. So again, we can use our enterprise data. Our data probably lives in Dynamics 365 apps and stored in Dataverse tables. So again, we can now leverage that with our agents and again, use those as data sources for these agents we're creating, making them more effective and fine-tuned to our situations. We now have the ability to move a tenant to a new tenant environment. This feature allows me as an administrator to self-serve and migrate an environment from one source tenant to a target tenant using PowerShell. Again, this is a way I can do this myself without having to get Microsoft involved. I will say you can only move production in sandbox environments at this time. And there are certain things that can't move. So customer voice, omni-channel for customer service, component library, customer insights, journeys, and data, and any orgs linked to finance and operations would not be eligible to move those items as part of a tenant-to-tenant migration. The last slide that I have to talk to you about is some improved business continuity and disaster recovery from Microsoft here. So the key improvements here are we have always on resilience, which means your environments are automatically replicated across multiple availability zones. So eliminating the need for separate geo-secondary backups. What this means is we're going to have faster recovery with synchronous replications across zones. Failover within a region is almost instantaneous, minimizing disruptions and minimal data loss. And again, should be a seamless experience. So unlike traditional backups, which require restoration, with these availability zones that Microsoft is implementing here, your environment is continuously active. Again, this is hopefully going to reduce support dependency, automated failover when the primary region eliminates the need to contact Microsoft support for most disaster recovery scenarios. They're just going to take care of it automatically. So some exciting stuff that is already here. I want to thank everybody for joining. We made it. Whew! 60 slides in 60 minutes. Thank you all for joining. I do want to say there are other topics out there around AI Builder, governance and administration, and Fabric release plan documentation we didn't have a chance to get to. So again, get out there, use that release planner website and check out what everything that's available in that release wave 1. Thanks everybody. Glad to have you with us today.